Pope Leo XIV just dropped a bombshell that most tech executives probably weren't expecting. A year-long manifesto demanding strict global rules on AI development. I'm Chuck Goetschel. This is AI in 10. What happened, why it matters, what you can do with it, let's go. Yesterday, the Vatican released what might be the most detailed moral blueprint for artificial intelligence we've seen from any major institution. More than a year in the making, this isn't your typical AI could be dangerous warning. This is a comprehensive roadmap calling for binding international regulations on how AI gets built, deployed, and controlled. The Pope didn't mince words. He's asking governments to stop relying on tech companies to police themselves. He wants robust regulation that puts human dignity ahead of profit margins. And he's directly challenging developers to work for the common good, instead of just maximizing shareholder value. Which is basically asking Silicon Valley to completely rethink its business model. Here's what makes this different from other AI ethics declarations. The Vatican spent over a year consulting with theologians, scientists, ethicists, and actual technologists. They're not approaching this as outsiders throwing stones. They've done their homework on frontier AI systems, the ones that can write code, generate realistic videos, and act as autonomous agents. The manifesto tackles everything from job displacement to surveillance to information manipulation, but it's not anti-technology. The Pope explicitly says don't fear artificial intelligence. Instead, he's calling for what he terms courage to set proper limits. Think of it as wanting guardrails on the highway, not shutting down the road entirely. The timing here is fascinating. This comes right as we're seeing major AI companies preparing for massive public offerings. OpenAI is eyeing an $800 billion valuation. The AI arms race is accelerating. And now you have one of the world's most influential moral authorities saying, hold up. Let's think about where this is all heading. So why should you care about what the Pope thinks about AI? Because this isn't just a religious document. It's a signal that AI governance is becoming a mainstream social issue, not just a tech industry concern. When a major moral authority devotes a full year to creating an AI manifesto, it tells governments that voters actually care about how artificial intelligence affects their jobs, their privacy, and their daily lives. That creates political pressure for real action. Let's talk about your job first. The manifesto explicitly warns about AI being deployed primarily for profit maximization. That's not abstract theology, that's your workplace reality. Companies are already implementing AI-first hiring policies, requiring managers to prove why they need a human before they can open new positions. This Vatican stance gives workers and unions concrete language to push back. Not against AI itself, but against implementations that treat humans as disposable. They can argue for retraining programs, transition support, and limits on fully automating roles that affect entire communities. Your privacy is next. The manifesto calls out surveillance and algorithmic tracking. As AI gets better at facial recognition, behavior prediction, and personal data analysis, having a major institution demand robust regulation creates momentum for actual privacy protections. Not just corporate promises, but legally enforceable rules. Then there's the information landscape. The Pope's concern about carelessness with our most powerful technical instruments directly connects to deepfakes and AI-generated misinformation. Stronger moral frameworks here could reshape what you see on social media, how election content gets regulated, and how platforms handle AI-generated content. If you're a parent, this matters for your kids' education and online safety. You now have backing from a major global authority when asking schools for clear AI policies, questioning how children's apps use artificial intelligence, or demanding transparency about algorithmic content targeting. The document doesn't name specific companies, but it's clearly addressing fears that a small group of executives and investors are making decisions about AI's impact on employment, democracy, and human dignity without broader input. That's like letting your teenager plan the family budget. Technically, they're smart enough, but maybe we want some adult supervision. Here's what you can actually do with this development starting today. First, use this manifesto as a reference tool. Whether you're an employee, student, or community member, you now have a detailed framework for asking institutions about their AI policies. Don't just accept "we use AI to improve efficiency" as an answer. Ask for specifics about transparency, human oversight, and protection of vulnerable populations. If you work somewhere that's implementing AI tools, bring up the manifesto's principles in discussions about workplace policies. Ask whether your company has written guidelines that prioritize human dignity alongside productivity gains. Request transparency about AI monitoring tools, automated decision-making, and data collection practices. For parents and educators, use this as a conversation starter about AI in schools. The Vatican specifically mentions protecting children in AI deployment. Ask your school district what AI tools they're using, how student data gets handled, and whether there are human oversight requirements for AI-assisted grading or behavioral monitoring. On the civic level, this gives you language for engaging with local and national representatives about AI legislation. Instead of feeling like AI policy is too technical to understand, you can reference the manifesto's call for binding safeguards, transparency requirements, and human-centered development approaches. Here's something practical you can do right now. Evaluate your own AI tool usage through the lens of human agency. The manifesto emphasizes that humans should remain authors and not objects of technological change. Look at how you're using AI assistants, content generators, and decision support tools. Are you maintaining meaningful control over important decisions? Are you understanding how these tools work well enough to spot their limitations? Are you sharing personal information without fully grasping how it gets used? This isn't about avoiding AI, it's about using it intentionally rather than just drifting into dependency. The manifesto also calls for including diverse perspectives in AI development. If you work in tech, volunteer for user research, beta testing, or community feedback programs. If you don't work in tech, look for opportunities to provide input when companies or government agencies ask for public comment on AI policies. Your perspective as someone who isn't building these systems is exactly what's needed to keep them human-centered. The bigger picture here is that AI governance is becoming a global conversation involving religious authorities, civil society groups, and ordinary citizens, not just labs, regulators, and investors. When a major moral authority explicitly calls for robust regulation, it increases pressure on governments that have been mostly relying on voluntary corporate guidelines and non-binding principles. That's tech speak, for we have no idea what happens next. This manifesto suggests future AI debates won't just be about technical safety or economic competitiveness. They'll be about competing visions of what human-centered society looks like in an age of automation. Watch for whether this document gets cited in parliamentary debates, whether Catholic institutions adopt concrete AI usage rules, and whether other religious or civic leaders issue their own AI frameworks in response. The Vatican's move reflects something important. Regular people are demanding a voice in how AI reshapes work, education, privacy, and democracy. This manifesto gives them language and moral authority to make those demands. It's not about slowing down innovation, it's about making sure innovation serves human flourishing rather than just technological possibility. The Pope's message is clear. We can embrace AI's benefits while still insisting on guardrails that protect human dignity and the common good. That's a framework worth taking seriously, regardless of your religious background. Because at the end of the day, the question isn't whether AI will transform society, it's whether we'll have meaningful input into how that transformation happens. That's today's AI in 10. If you want to go deeper and learn AI with a community of people just like you, join us at aihammock.com. I'll see you tomorrow, my friends.